Hello, this is Paul Milligan for IC Show TV at IC 2017. Thank you for joining us for our latest panel discussion. This one is rather provocatively titled The Death of Hardware. This all came about because we are seeing a great rise in companies that maybe you wouldn't associate with software before are now talking up their software provision. So we've got three people here from the panel. We've got Bob Michael from ZeeVee, Kate Ohse from Kramer, and TJ Adams from QSC. And we invited these guys especially because they're all have made kind of interesting statements or movements in the last few months with regards to software provision. Bob has joined the SDVOE Alliance, which has claimed that they're going to do away with black boxes forever. One of the trenches on the Kramer stand is, well, there's three bubbles above the big stand. One says software, one says hardware, one says the cloud. So you can see where that company is going. And there's an interview in the latest magazine that you can read where he talks about their latest off-the-shelf server system, the QSys software, which is a really interesting move for kind of pro audio guys. So maybe start with you, Bob. Are we moving towards a software only or a far more software-based AV world?
Well, for sure, we're moving to a more software-based world. And when I was back and I was reflecting on the topic here today, right? You put it very, very nice and succinct, the death of hardware, which of course we hope there's no death of hardware, right? Yeah. I mean, we all have hardware to some extent. But in thinking about the title, if I had to title it, perhaps I would have said something like the death of hardware-based, proprietary, and closed systems provided by one distributor of AV systems, so you're locked into them for the rest of your life at whatever charge, at whatever price that they wish to charge you forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you look at that, do I think that that's the thing that's we're going to move away from for sure?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. I mean, Kay, we know Kramer for boxes. You go on the stand, it's full of amazing boxes that do great things. So for you to have a big thing above your stand saying software was, I think, a kind of big move and a big statement. Also, you got the VMware being launched at the show. Yeah. I mean, is Kramer moving towards a kind of more software provision?
Absolutely, yes. So number one, hardware is in our DNA, right? Number two, when we say the death of hardware, it does not precisely mean the death of hardware. It means that software and hardware gets disaggregated. And why is that? Because the customer wants investment protection. I want a piece of hardware, whether this is being a black box of Kramer or this is a PC or whatever, and I want to make sure that the software gets updated and updated and updated. That is the key trick. We've seen this segregation of hardware and software in the IT space several times already, which were all rollover type of situations, and it's the same. So yes, it will come. It will not come as a revolution, it will come as an evolution, or let me say in my words, it's not a tsunami which is going to come, it's already there. The water is already there, but the tide is rising. So the products that we're having and offering today, they have the software on it already. We offer already software release management. We already offer investment protection by making sure that you can exchange the software, release upgrade and so on. So the trend is inevitably there. Yeah. I strongly believe that the audio-video channel has a very important role to play there over time. However, it changes from a box selling attitude more to a service attitude. And I believe that's the real challenge.
Okay. I mean, TJ, we know QSC obviously from kind of high-end kind of amplifier and kind of rock and roll kind of touring world and things. So for you guys to be talking about software seems like a kind of seismic shift. I mean, is that fair to say?
No, in fact, we use that a lot when we talk to our partners because, I mean, this whole idea of software and IT is our new buyer and all of that. And I'd like to say, by the way, I agree 100% with my colleagues here. I mean, what you said just a second ago is more or less our attitude and where we're coming from. But we do use exactly that we get even more self-deprecating. We say, if a 50-year-old stodgy amplifier company can come from the dark ages of just selling nothing software to revolutionizing how we do real-time processing and targeting IT mainstream technology to do it, then surely our AV integration community, our consultancy, our end user, our other manufacturer partners in the space, surely we can all go take that journey. And it's a growing one, and it's going to change over time. But I'd like to comment, if you don't mind, on the whole death of hardware concept. I'd like to say that it's not really about death of hardware. I think that's a great catchy byline to get some interest. It kind of wakes some people up in the industry, but I don't think it's nearly that stark. I think it's more like this. We think of it this way. I run our product development team at QC, and we think of it as where do we add value as AV people, our partners or integrators, how do they add value in this future world? But as manufacturers, should we be adding value by taking only AV specific hardware? And so I'd like to modify the statement, the death of AV specific hardware is really what we think is the change. And the fact that we can run on an off-the-shelf platform, and if we're going to be honest intellectually with our customer, then we have to stop talking about how we're an AV IT convergence and how we in the world of AV are IT friendly. We're sort of kidding ourselves, I think, if we don't take that seriously to move our platforms towards mainstream technology, which just happens to be IT technology, rather than every time we come up with a new product concept, thinking we have to take AV-specific hardware as our first pass.
Sure. I mean, when we discussed your off-the-shelf solution that's just been released recently, you were very keen to point out that IT is our new customer. I mean, is that driving a lot of this kind of more software? Bob, would you say that because IT primarily are coming more into our market, we're having to sort of speak their language, people keep saying?
I think, IT are coming into our market because it is part of the evolution, right? Here, it's not a revolution, it's part of the evolution. I think the AV industry, we're probably like 20 years behind Ethernet, right? In terms of using the technology, but we have to deal with these people who, I guess previously were in the closet in each of our companies that we never had to deal with. We never really understood what they did. Okay, and now they're coming, if you want to say, out of the closet and saying, wait, we have a more efficient way to do this, and by the way, I understand it already. Right. Okay, and I know how to do this, so please just provide me some tools. And the type of audience that we deal with here are a lot of people who never get away from the front of their computer, right? Why do I have to move from here? So therefore, this whole software discussion trend is somebody sitting in front of their computer and saying, just give me those standard components again, and I'll take care of the rest. Exactly, and I want to communicate with you via email or via some web server or whatever it might be, or text, right? And give me that, and I'll just take care of the rest, right? We kind of need to take the voodoo out of what we do because it doesn't need to be there, right? I mean, a customer experience, they want to go in and they want to see the screen on. They don't need to know everything that's going on behind there, right?
Right. And I like your statement. Yeah. We over mystify what we are doing.
Right.
And
we're quirky AV people.
Exactly. Yeah, what's behind? The recipe. What's behind? I don't care when I go to a restaurant and have a nice food, right? And so the experience is that what really counts, and that's what we can learn from the IT world, since they have been through this transition process several times. They focus on what they call customer experience. And that's the name of the game, rather than over mystifying technology and bits and bytes and pieces.
Okay, Kramer are one of the big kind of pro AV pillars, really. Of the, they've been at every one of these shows, and you always see them very visible. Are you having to? The other guy said, are you having to react to this new IT customer coming in and saying, "Oh, we don't maybe know the Kramer name, or what is it you do?" And part of this kind of rise of software is you having to react to that new type of customer.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So. We get a lot of interaction with the IT contact people inside the customer, right? Because they start asking. And the notion of, well, the AV network is separate, so it has nothing to do with IT is just wrong. As soon as I connect a PC, I'm in the IT space already. I have security questions, performance questions, and what you have. So the discussion is already there. We just need to make sure that we do not talk just IT, but we talk about what are the specific IT topics we need to take care of immediately in, let me say, the first phase of the transition we are in. And this is like security, right? Like KVM and isolators as you have. This is like bandwidth consumption and quality. Yeah. That's it.
Does it play nice with others on my network?
Yeah. Not more than that, right? Not more than that. When it comes to the second phase, and you get the sense on the fair already, when control becomes a piece of software, completely separated from the hardware, I don't care what control device you have, I have a piece of software, like Kramer is doing, we get a lot of questions because if you talk software only, separated, immediately the question is, well, this could be a cloud service. If it's going to be a cloud service, what do I do as an audio video reseller? Because the vendor is about to bypass me, right? Which is not the case. So Kramer, and that's our positioning in helping a reseller through this channel, through this transition, is to enable them. So not being the cloud provider and just grabbing the business away, but saying, hey, this is the technology, this is the bits and pieces that we're going to create for you, and interfacing with the hardware, which still will exist a couple of years, to manage it yourself and transition yourself from a reseller into a service provider. Right? So that's the strategy. And we had very, very interesting discussions with our channel partners. They said exactly what you said, Paul. They said, wow.
Yeah. I mean, TJ, one of the phrases I've heard probably most over the last few days is we need to speak their language with regards to IT. And it seems like something you're all too aware of. I mean, are we, say QSC and maybe the wider Pro AV world kind of getting better at that, do you think?
I think so. In fact, I'm impressed with my colleague here. I mean, the way he just stated is exactly how we're approaching this from a channel perspective. So I applaud you and Kramer for thinking that way, because, I mean, that's what we're hearing from our customer. But yeah, I think we are getting better at it. And one thing I like to point out is that there are some transition happening as well as far as our talent in this industry. There is a crossover happening there too. I mean, there's more and more IT people who love music, love video, love media in general, and they also are being attracted to what we do and bringing that talent in. I mean, I can speak for myself. I came from the IT industry. I was a network engineer, worked for large, multinationals and small companies as well, and I thought IT was getting kind of boring, and I wanted to get more into the media side of IT. And here I am, and there's a lot of other young people that are nativists. They understand this technology better, and they're becoming in our ranks. So I think, yeah, we are getting a lot better.
Bob, you could probably make an argument that your company is an IT company, could you not, rather than how do you kind of view yourselves, and does that matter? But also, are we getting, like I said to CJ, are we getting better at speaking the IT language?
Well, we're getting better at speaking the IT language. I think we're in potentially somewhat of a different position than other companies that are doing, say, signal extension, right? Yeah. Because we kind of bypassed the AV portion of it. We were always more in broadcast distribution, okay? Yeah. And so, when we looked at it, we said, okay, the AV portion, I don't know, let's get past that AV portion. Back to a comment that you both made about the channel, okay? We see the resistance to this change within the channel on the integration side, right? And part of it is fear, okay? We hear constantly from people that, but what about my value add, right? How am I going to do this? But go back to the transition from analog to digital, okay? That was cast in stone as well. That was going to happen. And we heard the same arguments then, and a simplified argument was, wait a minute, my value is going in and putting in an analog system. First I have to design it, and I have to tweak it, right? So now you're giving me this technology that when I put it in, it either works or it doesn't work. So what do I do? Well, the entire industry, if you want to say reinvented itself or adapted to that and found out how to make money, exactly as you said, how do I become a value add? How do I become a service provider to my customer, right? Instead of just a black box salesman. And I think that's a big transition point too, to get across to the integration world, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time, teaching people in our industry space, usually our dealers, that IT people are never in their purest form going to know acoustics or video calibration or any of those things. And, come on, we have a lot of value to offer. So it's sort of like having a little bit of confidence as an industry, yet still embracing growth and personal development. Well, this is the industry's personal development path, right?
I mean, you were nodding there when Bob was talking. Now, do you sense a bit of fear in the integration community?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's part of what we're planning for, and that's actually, even from a product launch perspective, that's why we're doing it in phases. I mean, listen, we could take QSys today and just run it as shrink wrap software and just sell it to anybody to run on a server, right? I mean, there's caveats to that, but I mean, we could go there, right? But we don't think the industry, our channel, is quite ready for that. And so we want to walk through and be a good partner that way. So we're trying to empathize with the channel, but we're equally pushing the channel. We're not going to just let them tell us, no, you can't do that, we want it the old way, right? So it's a push and pull.
Okay, do you sense that fear maybe when you have discussions about the value added things?
Absolutely. You know, I like your story about, you know, when we have been analog. I have to say, I'm coming from the IT as well, and I was 7 years in the video conferencing industry. When I started in 2005 in the video conferencing industry, towards today, I'd say half of the channel partners of those days no longer exist, right? And why is that? Because they were not able to leave their comfort zone, their area of competence.
But they know that too, and they're scared.
Partially, yes, you know. So I believe we have an obligation as vendors. We have an obligation to show them the way and help them the way. You know, they need to run themselves. You know, they need to jump themselves. But we need to show the way what it is. And this is twofold. It's technology and it's education. By no means an audio-video specialist would be able to encapsulate all the IT knowledge. No way. And if you look into the IT, you know, you have the hardware specialist, the network specialist, the software specialist, the security specialist, and audio-video is going to become a discipline of IT collaboration, whatever you call it, and there's a secure place, because as you say, you know, physics will not go away, acoustics, video, it will not go away. But it's going to become part of IT, as IT is the overarching theme and technology. Exactly, absolutely. So what we're going to do is and this is what I did this 4 days specifically, you know, we provoke discussions, we make people, you know, start thinking twice, because it's going down to their DNA. You see, you know, general managers of sizable companies start thinking about, wow, what does this mean to me? Translating my organization into a service company. You know, what do I need? What knowledge do I need? What's my business model? How do I charge? What does this mean to move from sales-based revenue to recurring revenue? But I believe we need, and it's exactly what you said, correct, we need to start the thought process, but we also need to deliver solutions to say, no, this is step 1, step 2, and there's, you know, 55 different ways for you to go to differentiate yourself in the market.
And it's like concurrency at first.
Yeah, exactly, and we help them, you know, with certain different building blocks. You know, it's not this one size fits all, but, you know, make sure that you transition yourself. And the other 50% of the video conferencing channel partners that still exist today, they did exactly that. They did exactly that.
I'd like to bring up too that, you know, there's the channel, and then there's also our fellow, let's say, competitors and manufacturers. And what I'd like to challenge them with is that it seems up here on this panel we have a lot of agreement, right? I hear, you know, different market spaces, a little bit of overlap, but we're coming at it from different technology spheres and applications, the three of us. But I see still a lot of manufacturers trying to put the brakes on this. I see other manufacturers that they are scared too, because they have been the predominant kings of this industry, making lots of money with hardware, and they don't want to have to go reinvent themselves. And that also holds back our integration channel and ultimately doesn't deliver what our new customer wants. So I'd like to send that out to the industry that, hey, don't step on the brake pedal. Instead, you know, let's get all together, and we can compete fair and square in the market space, but let's not do it by trying to create division in front of our customer, our joint customer.
It's very difficult. If you got to be the market leader, right?
Right.
The cannibalization impact is the largest on you.
Absolutely.
So you are the last, you know, the biggers are the last movers.
Absolutely.
By the way the system works, and we have seen this in the IT industry. You remember the back to the days, you know, like Nixtor, Wang, a lot of companies which I probably should not name publicly. They went bust.
Yeah.
Right.
Excellent management, you know, good management, very state-of-the-art management, but they managed themselves out of the market exactly of
They
this.
tried
right?
to hold it back.
Don't cannibalize my existing business, and that prevents me to going new routes and disrupting my own business. So
Right.
it's probably us, you know,
Right.
You know, as you know, the faster moving organizations and vendors in the market to drive this change.
Absolutely. We feel that, Harold. And I see here you do too. So absolutely.
Fantastic. I think, Bob, you got anything to add?
You know, for us as a as a team, it was like 4 years ago where we sat down and one of our engineers said something that really hit home with everybody. And the first thing he said was, never bet against the Ethernet.
That's a good rhyme too.
Okay, so, you know, we looked at that and said, okay, and that's when we, you know, it wasn't that one statement, obviously, but it got people thinking. And, you know, there's plenty of examples that we can use from Nortel to Cisco and many others. But part of the same argument too was, okay, but the technology is really not here yet to move video, right?
Right.
The second comment was, if you throw enough bandwidth at anything, you will
You can
fix
make it work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, we saw that coming, or our technical people really are the ones who saw that coming as well.
Yeah.
All right. So you know, as we progressed on this, and we're a big believer as a company in using standardized components, and it's part of our culture, part of our DNA from the
We
beginning.
ascribe to the same philosophy.
Right? I mean, on the coax front, we use the TV tuner as the decoder or the receiver, whatever you want to call it. You know, and well, okay, there's no revenue in that for us, but however, our customer base has gone up because we've made it more simple,
Sure.
right? And we've eliminated a lot of that back
And
in the middle.
he expects that. Huh?
And to go the same route, you know, now is to take standardized components where billions of dollars have been spent on R&D,
Yes.
right? That we can make use of.
This is the same message we give about our Intel story and the fact that Dell can build servers way better than we can.
Right? I mean,
It's a no-brainer. It's obvious,
right. Use it.
But the AV industry is such a cottage industry that it's got a little bit of a not invented here mentality. But I think that's changing.
it must.
It has to, or we'll be
has to,
dead.
right,
But
we'll be dead,
that'll
yeah.
be the true death.
They will not be the ones to prevent the change.
No.
They'll just face the change and then see how they're going to deal with it, you know.
Yes.
And they have the first movers that, you know, make their deal, and if they're laggards, they'll probably lag behind forever.
Gents, I think we could probably talk on this all day, but I think we're going to wrap things up. But, TJ, Kay, and Bob, thank you very much for your time. That's all for today. Thank you.
Paul.